Good afternoon everyone, welcome to this Graitec Structures webinar where today we're going to be looking at sharing your advanced steel models. So my name is Rob Merriman, I'm one of the application engineers here at Graitec. So a little bit about me. I've worked in the construction industry since I left university. I started off as an architectural metalwork and structural steel draftsman using advanced steel. And in those 8 years, I worked in 2 subcontract drawing offices. So that has allowed me to work on lots of varied projects with lots of different fabricators, all wanting to do things in slightly different ways. So now I work as an application engineer here at Graitec. So do the demonstrations, training, technical support, webinars, workshops for structural CAD packages. So my main focus is advanced steel, but with advanced steel being added to the AC collection, we now also look at Revit, Navisworks, Recap, Fusion 360, anything to do with structures, which is sort of what we're looking at in today's webinar. So a little bit about Graitec. We are now 30 years old, operate in 11 countries worldwide through 48 offices, and we are headquartered in France. We are a healthy, profitable and growing company, and we are quickly becoming one of the largest Autodesk partners worldwide. Globally, we've got over 550 staff. We have 100 of those in our research and development center out in Romania. So those are the guys that are developing our power packs and products like advanced design. And we are here to work and help you guys. So across our support system, we've got a 98% feedback, and that's over 50,000 support cases. And on the training side of things, we're delivering more than 3,500 courses per year. So why Graitec? We are one of the only resellers that can actually take your project from start to finish. And we've broken that workflow down into 4 key pillars. So they are create, simulate, fabricate, and manage. So create is using the Autodesk products and then enhancing them with the power packs. Simulate is taking your model and actually making sure it will actually stand up in the real world environment. So that's using products such as Advanced Design and Advanced Design Connection. A lot of you are Advanced Steel users, so Advanced Steel sits in create and fabricate because we're producing fabrication data. But we do have our own tools to take your project through to the actual fabricated object and then delivery on site. So we have Advanced Workshop and Armor Plus, and then everything will produce data. So we have Graitec OpenTree that will look after all of your work in progress and your IP and your data, and it will collaborate with many common data environments. So you don't have to do different uploads for each different common data environment. OpenTree will take care of all of that for you. So one of the questions we usually get asked straight away is this session being recorded? All of our sessions are being recorded. They will be uploaded to our Graitec content centers. So there is a handout. If you look in your GoToWebinar little dialogue where you can type the questions, you'll see a handout of this presentation. You can click the link in there and that will take you to the content portals. So every webinar that we do as Graitec gets recorded and uploaded to the content portals, content center. And we have a content center for AEC, MFG and the structures industry. It can take us up to 10 working days to get these uploaded, depending on how busy our marketing team are. So they won't appear straight away, but they do usually go up within a week or so. As we're looking at advanced steel today, Graitec produce its own add-on for advanced steel called the Advanced Steel Power Pack. So if you're a UK customer, this statement is true. If you're joining this session from anywhere else around the world, please speak to your local Graitec office. But if you are a supported and maintained customer in the UK, the Power Pack is free. It's included as part of that package. And we break the Power Pack down into 5 areas. So we have create macros. So we've got a structure designer that will create structures with one dialog. It will do the columns, the purlins, the cold rolled, the bracings, the claddings. So if you're doing repeatable structures, you really do want to be looking at the structure designer. We have create macro connections. So we now have a Power Pack connection vault that's got 25 new connections in there. We've got our create elements. We've got a castellated and circular or corrugated beam creator. We've got a folded plate extender, which we looked at briefly last week. We've got tools for creating helical or spiral polylines, beams, and folded plates. We also have our own BIM import and export tool. So if you ever need to export your model, parts, or assemblies to ASYS, STEP, DWG or IGES, especially if you're working in the architectural metalwork industry or even the timber industry, those export to STEP and IGES tools are invaluable. We do also have a 3D PDF option. And then alongside that, within the Power Pack, we add extra data. So we have updated certain cold roll suppliers and we've added complete new suppliers such as Thomas Panels into the system. If you work with grating, that we've added FH Brundle weld mesh and perforated panels. We've added ISA screws in there. There's loads that we've added into the Power Pack. So if you're a UK customer and you don't have the Power Pack, you'll see it as a ribbon. When we go to my advanced deal, you'll see it. If you don't have it, please send me an email. My contact information is in the handout. We'll check your account. If you don't have it, I'll help you get it installed. We'll get it up and running and I'll show you what it can do. So what are we going to look at today? So we're looking at sharing our advanced steel models, and we're going to be looking at sharing it using the Autodesk online viewer and then shared views. So we're going to look at what it is, where we find it, how we upload things, and why we actually use it. We'll look at what we need to do to our advanced steel model. Then we'll look at how the online viewer works. We'll look at different ways of collaborating and sharing things with people and what can be done. Then we'll look at shared views, and then finally we will look at QR codes. Now, before we do this, I'm just going to run a couple of polls. So the first poll I'm going to run, I've launched it now. If you've got 2 screens, you will need to drag the dialog onto your main screen. It won't let you click on it unless it's on your main screen. But I'm interested to see how everyone shares their design information or how you send stuff out for your approval drawings. Do you do 2D GA drawings? Do you also do 3D GA drawings? You can multiple select. Do you also produce rendered views using either AutoCAD or Fusion 360 or anything else? Do your clients request an IFC file or a 3D DWF file? So they'll usually request that if you're looking at collaborating with Navisworks, if they're looking at bringing all the different models together. And has anyone been asked to supply a Revit file or an SMLX file? So the main contractor can import your model into Revit. So I'll let it run for another 20 or so seconds. 80% of people have responded to the poll. Okay, we'll close that poll there. You should go back to seeing my screen. So what, how, where, and why? So the Autodesk viewer is an online viewer that can read over 50 formats of 2D drawings or 3D models. So it will read DWG, Revit files, Inventor files. There is a list, and I will get in the handout is the link. You just go to viewer.autodesk.com. So what I will do, the last poll I'm running today, before we go any further, have you guys heard of the Autodesk viewer or shared views? Have you heard of it and do you use them? Or have you heard of it and don't use them? Or have you never heard of it before and that's obviously why you're here today? So again, the system will only let you click on the answer if the webinar dialog box is on your main screen. So if you have two monitors, one will be the main, one will be the secondary. You have to put the go-to onto the main screen to actually allow you to click on the polls. So again, I'll just let it run for another 15 seconds. We're up to 90% of people who have voted. Okay, so 38% of you currently use the online viewer or shared views, 43% have heard of them but don't use them, and then 19% of you haven't heard of them before. So most of you here are Advanced Steel customers. You obviously have a subscription to Advanced Steel or an AEC subscription. You have access to the Autodesk viewer. You log in with the same credentials that you log in to your Advanced Steel or your AEC. The one thing that is very useful is we don't need to export. We don't need to create a new format. We don't need to export to 3D DWF or IFC or anything like that, although the system will read those. We can simply upload the Advanced Steel DWG file. And it's even simpler if you use shared views from within your Advanced Steel. So we'll get to that in a little bit. The reason that the Autodesk Viewer is a very powerful tool is that it works through a web browser, and then it works on the web browsers on your tablet or your smartphone. So no one needs any extra software to view your 3D model. So I've had this in the past where we've been sending out 3D DWFs and we had to use Autodesk Design Review. And we found that some customers and clients and main contractors, their IT wouldn't let them install any software on their machines. So we could give them this file format, but they wouldn't let them download the tool to actually view the file. So it was pointless. Again, why should we use these views? Well, 2D drawings are great. When I started, we would only produce like a 3D view on a GA drawing if it was a complicated model. For simple stuff, we didn't bother with a 3D view, but then over time, everyone wanted a 3D view, whether it was simple or complicated. With the Autodesk Viewer, your customers, clients, project managers can view the model alongside the 2D drawings, but in the 3D environment. They can actually rotate around so they can fully explore the model. What we have found is that if you're tendering for a job, let's say you're doing a high-end architectural staircase, you might send some previous GA drawings and some pictures. But if you can send someone a link that says, oh, this is a project we did 3 months ago, this is what we are quoting, this is what it will look like, and the end client can actually open it at home, even if they can't read GA drawings because they're not in the construction world, they can rotate around a 3D model on their laptop, smartphone, or tablet, and they can even walk around the model. So it's just going to make you stand out from everyone else. It's also very beneficial for your site team. So your site team can view the model. That model contains all the Advanced Steel data, so the mark number, bolt length, bolt types. So again, it might just reduce the calls to the office if you've missed a mark number or they don't know what bolt goes where. They can look at this model and there's going to be less downtime. And again, let's say you're being dragged to meetings because you need to bring your laptop to share the model to let people have a look at it. Well, you could maybe give a link to your contracts manager, and if all they're doing is looking at the model and discussing things that you don't need to be involved with, that might save you having to go to site. Before we actually upload and start playing with everything, we need to set up our Advanced Steel model. So what you need to do is you need to hide what you don't want to see when it's uploaded. So, and we can use the filters on our Advanced Steel tool palette, and I'm going to go and demonstrate this and we'll do a live demonstration. But things like joint boxes, cameras, welds, it doesn't bring through the weld information, unfortunately. And any 2D setting out information that you have, you don't want that to be included in the viewer because it will just confuse people. People will try and click on a camera and then they'll say, well, what is this? Why have I got this pink rectangle here? Why have I got these grey boxes that don't show me anything? So we need to hide that before we upload the model. You need to set your bolts, anchors, and shear studs to display as solid. So you can do that by selecting them, go into Advanced Properties, and then the display types and solid, so they don't show as a 2D wireframe, because whatever state your model is in when you upload it, that's what will show in the viewer. I always set my visual styles to realistic. And if you have any custom data, you need to click the Store Use Data button. So when I talk about custom data, that could be custom user sections that you've created, like handrail, top rail. It could be custom materials, custom bolts, custom anchors. You need to, although that data is on your C drive, it's built within your Advanced Steel. When you upload the model to the online environment, it doesn't include that information unless you put that information into the model. So on your Tools tab, there is the Store Used Data button. Then once you've set everything up, simply save the file. So I'm going to go to my Advanced Steel model. If you can't see my Advanced Steel model, please just tell me in the chat window. I think everyone can, so I'll carry on unless I see something pop up. So this is, for those of you who've done the training with us, this is our standard training model. And you can see in here, we have our joint boxes, we have our cameras. Some of the bolts are set to, the bolts aren't missing, but you can see the lines in here are set to the standard display. So I need to tidy this up. So I'm going to go to my Filters tab. Now if you had, I don't have any construction in here, but if I did have construction in here, let's say, again, I don't want those lines to be uploaded. So the first thing I can do is I can use select all the Advanced Steel objects, this one here, and then I can say show only selected objects. And then I can, within the filters, say, right, select all the joint boxes, selected objects off. Select the cameras. So if we scroll down, we've got the cameras, selected objects off. I'm going to use the filter for my bolts. That selects all the bolts in the model. I can right click, say Advanced Properties, go to the display type and change them to solids. And then you'll see in there, I've now got the solids. I don't think we have any nodes in the model. Don't have any model views. Do have some structural elements, which are what the portal frame macro uses. So again, I'll just turn those off. I think that little line there is the bit for my cladding. So again, it's not going to let me turn that off. We'll just have to live with that one. And then I'm going to save the model. So I've got the model to that point. So how does the online viewer work? We set up our model. So you log into the viewer with your Autodesk account. Let's find my Autodesk viewer. Hang on a second. In fact, I'll go through the PowerPoint and then we'll go and do it. So you log in, you simply click Upload New File, and then you choose your file. The system will then process that upload and then it will open in the viewer. You then have an option to look at the 2D view or the 3D view. So we want to see the 3D view. Once it's uploaded, all your Advanced Steel properties will show. One thing to bear in mind, because people I'm just doing this through the viewer. I'm not doing it through my Autodesk Drive. So if I do it through the viewer, people can only see the model. I can't download anything to then go and take it to someone else. With the viewer, we can zoom, rotate, pan, and walk like we can in our advanced steel. We can also do things like section the model, explode the model. We've got measure and markup tools. We've got isolate. We can isolate objects. One thing that I have noticed when we're looking at this is if you have materials attached to advanced steel objects, they don't seem to upload and everything comes through grey. So I will show you that a little bit later, but it's just something to be aware of. If you have materials, it's probably worth detaching them for this particular upload. So we'll go to my viewer. Here's my viewer, and then I will sign in. And this is the same sign-in that I use for my advanced steel. And then I simply choose upload a new file. We can drag and drop if we need to, or we can say select files. This is the model that I've been working on. Now it says, have you got any extra files in there? So we say, no, it's just that one. That's just our model. And then that will upload the file and then it processes it through the online viewer. There will be a few times today where we're going to have to wait for a minute or two for this to upload. So if anyone does have any questions on anything you've seen so far, or you know you've got a question coming up, if you want to type it in now while we're waiting for this to upload, I can then answer it, possibly while it's uploading, or while we discuss a few things. So that's now processed. And you can see over here on the left-hand side, I have a 2D view or I have a 3D view. Just wait for it to load. Okay, so this is my advanced steel model done through the web browser. So you can see that I can zoom, I can rotate. Now the rotate does go the opposite way to I think 99% of advanced steel users are used to, because when I scroll my mouse wheel forward, it goes out. That can be controlled in your settings. And if you go to navigation, you can zoom towards the pivot. So we can, reverse the mouse zoom direction. So now it would zoom as I would expect it to. You can see everything has come through. I didn't turn my welds off, but you can see the little weld symbols in there. You can see the bolts. The grids have come through. It doesn't bring the grid labels through, unfortunately. So it's not 100% perfect, but this teamed with your 2D GA drawings makes your approval package a lot more powerful. So we'll just have a look at this environment. So we'll start at the bottom in our sort of status bar. We have the home button, which will take you to a home view. Fit will fit it on screen. So if we do that and we say fit, that will fit it on the screen. Pan, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just pan. Orbit will let you orbit. Zoom again, zoom in and out. Now first person, this is quite cool. For those of you used to playing computer games, we can go into first person mode. And then we can actually have a little walk around. And if I can get myself down, probably not gonna, there we go, it's gonna drop down in a minute. Drop down through the rafters. You can tell I haven't played a computer game for a while. Do I need to turn on gravity? Enable gravity. I think it's because I don't have a slab that I can fall down onto. But you'll see I'm now on the staircase. It's found something that I can walk onto. So I can actually walk up the staircase. And if I'm really careful, I can walk along these beams. So you imagine this is your client who doesn't read 2D drawings very well. You can give him this and he can walk up the staircase you're proposing. If we go back to the home view and we enable the sectioning tools, I can section in the x-axis. And then we get this little tool here that allows me to section through the model. Remember, this is just my Advanced Steel DWG. I've not had to do anything in here. I can then rotate this round if we want to, drag a section that way. I can say section in the Z plane. We can see it being built if we want to. We have measure tools, so it also picks up all the snap points in here. So if we want to measure anything, that foundation is a meter. You can say that we're done with that. If you upload your DWG, you can actually explode the model, and when you get to a certain point, it will then pull the model apart, which is a little bit funky. It's a little bit interesting. It's maybe a little bit of a gimmick type thing, but it's still pretty cool. We can mark things up in here, so we can do things like saying, other way around. We can say things like, what's this? And then we can save that, and that gets saved into the comment section. So you can, and then if I zoom in somewhere and click on one of the comments, it will take me to it and then say, what's this within the markup? We'll look at comments a little bit later. If we go back to the home view, in the top left-hand side, we have a model browser. Now we can expand things in here, and we can double click on something and it will take us to what we're clicking on, so it knows it's a beam. It will take us there. You can see that we've got the eye tool, so we can hide it, or when you double click on something it hides everything else. When you double click it zooms in. If you go to the home view and you want to bring it back, we right click and choose show all objects. Now this used to, in some of the older versions, if you had lots and phases in here, you could actually search for lots and phases, but I've been trying the last few days and it doesn't seem to be enabled anymore. But that is the model browser. Then we have our properties. So if we bring up the properties dialog, you can see here we've got the properties. Whenever I click on something, it knows it's an AST beam, so an advanced steel beam. It knows the color, it knows the AutoCAD properties. But then you have all of your advanced steel properties. So you have your approval status if you've changed the approval statuses, your fabrication data, the geometry, so it knows it's a straight beam. It tells you what the weight is. That looks a little bit off, so we might have to have a look at that. Now the material is because I've been playing about with the material, so I know in my advanced steel model I have put that as glue laminated timber. It brings through the coating. It does show you the lot and phase information and the model roll, but it will also show you the mark number and the single part number, the section class and the profile and any user attributes. So all of your advanced steel data, this one here is a Thomas Panels section. So you can see it's a Thomas Panel Z, it's a 200 by 1.8. If I click on a bolt, exactly the same information in here. It even tells you that in the Thomas Panels hole information, that it's a round hole in the Thomas Panels. That's something I picked up yesterday, but it will tell you what it is, the length of it, the diameter. So all of your advanced steel data is in this upload. If I click on something, I can isolate it if I need to, or I can hide it. So I can say isolate, and then the system will take me there, and then go back to show all objects. So that is the basics of the online viewer. So let's look at how we can collaborate with our customers. The one thing to also show you, as soon as you upload the file, I'm just going to have to open up my emails for a second. When you upload, you will get an email through when the model is ready to view. So if I bring that up there, you can see that I got an email through about 9 minutes ago that this file is ready to view. The files are automatically there for 30 days. You can extend it if you need to. Oh, you can't see my screen. There we go, that's better. So you get your email here that the model you've uploaded is ready to view. It tells you that it will expire automatically after 30 days. We can extend that. So if you need it there for longer, you can have it there for longer. So once the model is uploaded, like I said, it's linked to your Autodesk account, you can then share the file. So when you share a file, it creates a link to the model that can be shared with anyone. We can put it obviously in an email. We're going to do some funky things with QR codes. The person you share the file with doesn't need an Autodesk account. So they can anyone can view it without having an Autodesk account. If they have an Autodesk account or they create one, so you don't need to buy Advanced Deal to create an Autodesk account, you can create one for free. They can actually then mark up and create comments on your shared view. And then these comments come straight to your inbox and they show on your uploaded model. So I have, once I'd created that view, I sent it to my colleague John Bennett, who has been commenting on it while I've been waffling away. So if I go back to my Autodesk viewer, these are the design views that I have uploaded. So if I needed to extend that, I could click the extend button. It will only ever extend it to 30 days. So if you've got 5 days left and you click extend, it will jump back to 30 days. If we want to share it, we click the share button. We can look at the sharing options. So you can enable the section, you can enable the explode, you can enable the model browser, you can enable the measure. So if you don't want people to see these properties and things, you can disable certain things. Tim, I've just seen your question, and yes, that has just answered the question. I will show you how you can hide all the properties as well in a minute, because if we do it with shared views, we can actually hide the properties as well. So I'll just go back into that. You can see here as well, there are 4 comments. So it will tell you how many comments there are on your shared view. So remember, we go back to the 3D view. Now, if I did want to share this with all of you, I would click the share button. Again, I've got my sharing options. I click the copy button and then I can put it into an email or wherever I need to put it. I will share it with you towards the end, but if I share it with you, I know you'll all click on it and start playing, so then you might miss something. So I will share it at the end in the chat so you guys can have a play with it and upload any comments. Now, if you do have comments, we click on the comments tab and you will see that John Bennett has been uploading some comments. So if I click on this one, it will take me to John's comment, and you can see that he's added a markup saying test markup from JB, which is John Bennett. If I click on this one, he's tried it on his mobile. This is the one that I added. So John's told me to check that connection. So I can still zoom in. I think if I start to, it won't let me pan in this, but I can then go back and start to look at that connection. To do this, you need an Autodesk account. So for anyone to upload a comment, you need an Autodesk account. But we do also have things that are resolved. So if I click resolve, that will remove them. And I can say show the ones that I have resolved. So we can do a little bit of document markup in here. And remember, I haven't had to do anything with this. I have just uploaded my Advanced Steel DWG. So next we're going to look at shared views. Shared views allow you to upload your model directly from the Advanced Steel environment. So you don't even need to log in to the online viewer. You can just do it from your Advanced Steel. And you find it on the Collaborate tab. So you'll see you have the Collaborate tab. I think it's from 2020 onwards. You will see Collaborate and Shared Views. And Tim, this is where you're asking if you don't want to share the Advanced Steel property, so you don't want anyone to be able to click on the properties of a beam and see exactly what it is, then you just untick that option. Then you actually get a new palette in your Advanced Steel, which shows you all your uploads from your accounts and the comments. Now, the one thing to be aware of, up until December last year, shared views were only available for customers with an AEC collection. But from December 2020, shared views are now available for customers with a standalone Advanced Steel model. Sorry, not a standalone Advanced Steel model, a standalone Advanced Steel license. And there is a knowledge article about that. So let's go and have a look at shared views. And I will do this, I think, on a different project. This might slow my machine down, but let's just open up this project. We'll see how long it's going to take. Because as with all of these, as soon as I start a webinar, my Advanced Steel, my machine has decided to go on a bit of a go slow. And I think by the amount of time it's taking to open this, I'll go back to the simple model. Okay, I will do it on the simple model, but one thing to note here is this particular model, I have lots of materials attached to the objects. When you upload these materials, they will come through as grey. So I've done that with material attach. And this is what I talked about earlier on. So these are my materials. So I've attached the glazed fire brick to the beam material. So if you upload it with these materials attached, they will come through as grey when you upload it. So just something to be aware of. So that model, I think, is going to slow me down quite a lot. So I'll use this model. We'll go to the Collaborate tab, and we have shared views. So if I open my shared views, and maybe what I could do is start by being sort of in here, looking at this from the other side. You can see that this is the one that I uploaded a minute ago, and it's got 4 comments on there, and I can actually look at the comments. I need to refresh it. No, that's not going to play ball. Okay, so that's not going to play ball, but we will create a new shared view. So I'll call this shared view. And then Tim, this is where we were asking, can we share the model without sharing any of the properties? We would then untick share object properties. So I'll do that, and that will go and process it in the background. So I'll click proceed. What you'll find is you'll see there's a little button flashing here in the bottom right of my screen that says it's now publishing the shared view. But this allows me to carry on doing my modeling, and that is now publishing that model in the background. So I don't even have to wait for it to upload. I can carry on doing what I'm doing. For this example, I am going to have to wait for it to upload. So Matt, with the Autodesk viewer, can you save the model with comments for record? You can't download the actual model. You're sharing this through the Autodesk viewer, so no one could download it. I think you would have to keep extending it. I might have to do a bit of testing next week. If we go and have a look at this model, I know I can print the comments. So if we go to the 3D view, so it's not really ever going to replace something like BIM 360. This would be the entry level to sharing things and working in the online environment. I'm showing it to you guys as just sharing the model. I don't think I can export, so let's see what that wants to do. I might be able to, Matt. Let's see what that's done. That has created me a PDF with 4 pages in with the comments. So I can export those comments. If I wanted to keep that model there, I would have to keep extending it every 30 days. So yes, you can export. You could create this PDF and that records all of the comments that are in there, and you can see the comments in the PDF here. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's go back to my Autodesk viewer, and now you can see that there is something else that is uploading here, and it's still doing it, so I'm not going to click on it just yet. But I haven't gone in and choose upload new file. That is now, if we go back to my advanced steel in the bottom right, you can see the upload has been completed from my advanced steel environment. And if I refresh my shared views, this is the shared view that I created here. And I can click on it and it will open it in my browser. I can even share it from here. So I can say copy link, and that will actually put a link on my clipboard. So I don't need to come to this environment, but you can see where I set the view up initially, that's where it's coming. So with the Collaborate tab, Shared Views, you get this palette. I'm not sure why the comments aren't loading, because I've got to click the Show Resolved because it knows I resolved them. But you can see the comments in my browser. When I click on, in my Advanced Steel environment, sorry, when I click on them, it will take me to the browser. Where are we? We're on time, that's fine. We are. So the last little bit that we're going to look at is QR codes, because this is fine if you remember to put the link in an email and you actually, let's say it was your site team, they want to check something in the 3D model. Well, if you don't email them or send it to them in a text message or WhatsApp or whatever, they won't have a link to that model. But on site, they probably have the GA drawings printed off with them. So what we can do is we can actually put a QR code onto our GA drawing that will then link to the model. So like I said, the site team might be using printed GA drawings. So what we can do is we can take the link from the online viewer, use a QR code generator to make our QR code. At Graitec, we use the QR, it's called qrcodemonkey.com, because you can actually add an image into that QR code and then we can attach it to the DWG. We're going to move on to Adrian's bit in a minute. So let me actually just show you that. Let's go back to our model. And I'm going to turn everything on. I've got, and me personally, I would probably only ever do this on a 3D model. So if we've got our camera here, I can say show camera detail, and that will open up our 3D view. So we want to put a QR code in here. Let me just go back to my web browser. So I'm going to go to QR Code Monkey. I want to have a link to this file, so I just click the share button, choose my sharing options, and then copy the link. And then I paste that into there. Now, the thing that we can do in here, and this is why I quite like this one, is I can say upload image, and then we've got our Graitec G, and then I can customize the design. We'll say, right, let's make it with smaller dots in here, and we want it high quality. And if I click generate QR code, that will actually put the Graitec G in with the QR code. Then what we need to do is download that as a PGN file. Go back to our Advanced Steel DWG file and then click attach. My QR code is downloaded in my downloads file. You want to be careful where your path is in case you start moving things around. I'll just leave it there for now. And I'm going to say, right, let's put it in the drawing border. And let's just quickly make it that size. So when that gets printed, there's my company logo with a QR code that anyone can now scan as long as that file exists. This next bit's even easier. Again, you don't have to go outside of the AutoCAD or the Advanced Steel environment. So thank you to Adrian Mangan and his AirCAD YouTube channel for the next tip, because that's where I found it from and it's very useful. So check out his YouTube page. He says at the beginning of his videos he's not an Advanced Steel expert, but I think he's even in this webinar. He is an Advanced Steel expert and he does some very good stuff on there. From the Autodesk App Store, you can actually download a QR generator that works inside AutoCAD. Because Advanced Steel is built on top of AutoCAD, it will work inside Advanced Steel. So there is the link to the QR generator that Adrian uses, and I've tested it today and it does work. Once you've installed it, you can create QR codes directly in your DWG using the link from the online viewer. So you get a new plugins tab and you've got your QR code. So we'll go back to the model and I'll show you this one. So I go to my plugins tab, QR code mText. Where do I want it to start? About there. I want it to about there. And then for your text, you actually paste your link in, click the close text editor, and there's your QR code generated without even leaving the drawing file. And just to finish off, I'm going to go back to the model just to show you that those QR codes do work. I printed off that drawing and hopefully, there you go. So there's the drawing. I did this about an hour ago. So we've got the Graitec one that I generated and then the one generated from inside my drawing. You can see on my iPad then, as I hover over, it brings up the link. And then what that will do is that will open up the online viewer. And I know it's a little bit grainy, but that is not logged into my Autodesk account. So that is just being done as if you didn't have an account. So we can spin round. It's once you get used to it, it's okay. We can still click on, I think you've got to go to the pan tab. When you click on a beam, you can then see all the advanced steel properties like we had in the, so there's my beam number. So one of the site guys didn't know what the mark number was. And to show you that it will work on a mobile device, we'll go and scan that on my mobile. And the same thing, it doesn't need a program. It's doing it through your web browser. So it's doing it through your desktop web browser, your tablet browser, or your phone browser. You can see with working from home and the kids' online schooling, our Wi-Fi is a little bit slow today, but there you go. That's the model on my phone. Again, a little bit harder, but you've got the same tools there. Eventually, when I actually get to double click on it and bring up the properties, you can see that we can get the properties. So I'm going to go for the column because it's easier. You can actually get the properties for that column as well. So that takes us to the end of today's session, Tim. I've seen your question about unchecking all the options, but you can still measure. I will have to go and have a look. Let's try this. Copy this. Let's go into a private window so it won't use my login. If anyone does have any questions just while I'm testing this, just type them in the box. So Tim, it might be that you can still measure because you're logged into your account, but you can see at the bottom here, I don't have any measure options. So I just got pan, zoom, orbit, first person. I don't have measure section because I've disabled them, but I've done it. It's not logged into my account. And I think if I bring the properties up, this is the one that I did. Okay, so let's have a look at this one that I did to the shared views. So this is where you might have to bring two things together because the shared views one gives you the option not to share the properties. So you can see in there, I just have AST beam. And then once we've got that uploaded to the share views, then I would click the share option, and that's when I could disable everything, copy that link, go to a new private window. Now we should have a model that has no properties, no option to section, no option to measure. So it is just something. So I've got no sectioning options, no measuring options. If I click on a beam, it doesn't tell me any of the beam properties. So if you did need to just give someone a visual representation where you didn't want them to be able to take any measurements or anything like that, then use your shared view, use your shared views from within your advanced deal environment to upload the model and untick share the properties. Then on your viewer, when you create the link to share it, you can untick all the different options for things like that. So Tim has just said as well, he automates the QR code in his GAs. He uses the project data properties to fill in the site address and the link to the model, and then both the codes show up on the drawing. And I think there are, on the Autodesk forums and the Advanced Deal Facebook page online, there are different threads and links for people using QR codes in different ways. You can even use QR codes on part drawings and assembly drawings. You can create a bill of materials that has an automatic QR code to print off and stick on the beams. So no one else has uploaded any questions. So thank you very much for joining today's webinar. I hope you found it useful, and I hope you've seen what you can do with using the Autodesk Online Viewer and shared views. And the one thing to remember, everything that I've shown you today is free with that you get with your Autodesk subscription to Advanced Deal or the AC collection. Tim, you will maybe have to just send me an email with your model, and we can have a look at it, because I can't control what happens with the Autodesk Online Viewer. So you probably have to, Tim, you send me your link and I'll see if I can measure on it. But it was working on my machine. Maybe because you're based not in the UK. I don't know if you're using a different viewer or a different site. I don't know. But thank you very much for everyone for joining. Like I said, this is recorded. It will be uploaded hopefully within the next week. If not, it will be 10 working days. And then you'll see it on the Advanced Deal content portal.